why are women running into this like internal battle of like, but I should be a martyr when I know I want something else? Do you resonate with that? And did that ever come up with you, like this feeling of guilt?
Oh, sister, I was crying like every night for months at the thought
Oh,
of leaving that job. I actually have a video that I recorded of myself. I don't think I've ever told you this, basically saying goodbye to that part of my career because I
oh
felt like
wow.
I had to get it out. I think at the end of the day, as women, period, we have an insane, ungodly amount of pressure put on us by everyone in the world. We carry so much, but then when you are a woman who decides to go into the helping profession, you feel like you must be able to carry it all without sweating at all times because so many people quite literally depend on you to show up to work.
Welcome back to another episode of Six Figure Certified with one of my favorite guests and humans of all time, Sam Synett. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me back.
And you are the person that we need to speak to today because if I get another email asking how to go from therapist to life coach and not having an answer that's simply like sending a link to this podcast, I'm going to go crazy. So, before we get into the hacks, if you will, give us a little intro to yourself for people who may have not listened to your other episodes before.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Sam Synett. My pronouns are she, her. I am what you would call a rare coach therapist hybrid. I combine trauma informed expertise with proven business and sales strategies, and I help business service based or help women service based entrepreneurs and female leaders build profitable and resilient businesses that actually work for them without the burnout or them sacrificing their mental well being in the process.
Wow.
So, yeah,
Deep,
deep. It
but
gets deep.
on
It
brand
can.
for who you are and how you got here. But we need a little bit of the backstory. So, a lot of people in helping careers are like, we've talked to teachers, we've talked to HR directors, we've talked to nurses, are another really popular one. But I have to say, I think social workers and therapists are some of our top people that are starting to explore coaching as a profession for a variety of reasons. One being like annoyed with insurance, one being they kind of need or want a different modality that doesn't require some type of diagnosis or different reasons, but like what led you here and why was this kind of like natural or became your natural next step?
Mhm. Yeah, so before I got my certification through IGC in life coaching, I was working full time for the federal government as a PTSD trauma therapist. So that is the complete opposite type of a work life and environment I am in now. And what led me here was really a culmination of a few different things. I think first and foremost, I was tired of the red tape, holding me back from being able to do things for my clients that I really felt like they needed in order to fully heal and recover. Um, I believe in the work that I was doing. I am proud of the work that I did, but at the end of the day, there were a lot of things that I wasn't able to explore or offer or suggest because it wasn't allowed, essentially. So that was a big part of it. I think number 2 was generally the lack of this was my personal experience, just the lack of support that I had. Um, I had a fabulous boss and I had fabulous coworkers, but the system I was operating inside of was definitely not set up to retain me long term. We cranked out mental health professionals at a very rapid speed because of the caseload, the productivity demands, um, the just how great the need was and how little of us there were. And so I started to burn out to the point where I was beginning to experience compassion fatigue. And I think this is something that mental health professionals, we might talk about burnout, but we definitely don't often talk about compassion fatigue because there's this shame component to it where when you no longer can be empathic and listen deeply the way that we're trained, what does that mean about you as a person?
Ugh,
And
that makes me
so
mad. Okay.
yeah. So, like, that lack of support was a second thing, and then a third thing was simply because I realized I with my personal life circumstances at the time, I needed to literally make more money. And the trajectory that I was on, despite having a good paying job and for, where I was at in my career and like the benefits package, if I would have stayed there for 10 years, and in comparing it to where I'm at now, it would have taken me at least 10 to 15 years to do what I'm doing now financially as a business owner. And I think I just got curious because of the pandemic. Like, there had to be a better way to live life and work. And I just started exploring options. And that's what led me here, the red tape, just the lack of support that I had, especially for the burnout piece. And then just logistically needing to make more money to live the life that I desired, along with being there for my family in the way that they needed me to be back at that time.
One of the things I talk to with women who are leaving traditional helping jobs like therapist, teacher, nurse, for example, there is a level of guilt that I have heard when they actually declare, like, "You know what? Like, I don't want to be a martyr to this job anymore. And while I'm grateful for this job, like, I want more for my life." And I'm wondering if at any time you felt that or almost like a hesitancy in saying, like, I actually want to make more money for the life I desire. And maybe I just want to be a happier person who's less burnt out and less drained. Like, why are women running into this, like, internal battle of, like, "But I should be a martyr when I know I want something else." Do you resonate with that? And did that ever come up with you, like, this feeling of guilt?
Oh, sister, I was crying like every night for months at the thought
Oh.
of leaving that job. I actually have a video that I recorded of myself. I don't think I've ever told you this, basically saying goodbye to that part of my career because I
Oh,
felt like I
wow.
had to get it out. I think at the end of the day, as women, period, we have an insane, ungodly amount of pressure put on us by everyone in the world. We carry so much, but then when you are a woman who decides to go into the helping profession, you feel like you must be able to carry it all without sweating at all times because so many people quite literally depend on you to show up to work. And
Yeah.
so, yes, I have felt that. Yes, that resonates with me. And I ended up giving a 3.5 month notice because I felt like any less time for my workplace to prepare and for me to be able to prepare my clients was not ethical. Looking back, I don't think almost a quarter of a year was necessary, but at the time, that's what I needed for my own peace of mind, um, that it was okay for me to make this decision for myself. That was such a good question. I haven't thought about that in a long time, but it was really,
It
really
comes up a
hard.
lot, actually, like, and
Yeah.
I remember experiencing that and someone saying to me, like, "Well, if you're encouraging, like, every nurse and teacher to quit their job," and I'm like, "I am not
Mm-mm.
encouraging every nurse and every teacher, for example, to quit their job, but what I'm saying is, when is enough enough?" And some people, and I've banged my head against the wall trying to be some people who are, content with normal jobs. I wish I was sometimes. I don't think entrepreneurship is easy. I don't think that, like, having these insane dreams and visions that, like, you don't even know how you're gonna bring to life is, like, any less stressful. It's just a different kind of stress, and it's a different kind of busy, and it's a different kind of hard work. But if there are women who are feeling like how you felt and how I felt, like, there has got to be more to life, and I don't wanna die knowing that I didn't pursue anything else, eventually, I think you have to just get over it, get over the guilt, because like you said at the very beginning of this, they were churning in new mental health professionals on a regular basis, and just like in teaching, I mean, the turnover rate was so high. And I mean, even now, like the teacher shortage, the demand, like there's always going to be more teachers. There's always going to be more people to, take that on. But it's like, why do you have to be a martyr? You actually don't.
Mm-mm.
I
You
think that's tough for
absolutely
some
don't.
people.
You absolutely
I was
don't.
raised to just be grateful to have a job.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
How
Yes,
dare you want
exactly.
more?
No, literally, and that was some of the feedback that I was getting when I did start telling a couple people, I was poking around at coaching or I was considering making this pivot was like, why would you do that? Like literally you have it made. You're working for the federal government. Unless you royally do something, it's really difficult to be fired.
Mhm.
Um, you have this insane benefits package. Why would you ever? So, yeah,
But it's
and
interesting because like, being a teacher, which is these jobs are great jobs. They are noble professions. They are
mhm,
honorable professions. Our community needs these people. And also, where I was from, being one of the first, like, college graduates in my family, and, like, it was, like, so amazing that I had this job, but, like,
mhm,
it wasn't amazing to me.
no, and I'm similar. I was a first gen college graduate, and so, me doing anything at that professional of a level was an incredible accomplishment for myself, and I always say my parents too because of the
Mhm.
choices and the sacrifices that they had to make to put me in a position where I was able to pursue that, and
Yeah.
so I think that that's important to acknowledge both and look at me being a social worker.
Yeah.
Both and, you get to have other dreams, you get to have other desires, you do not have to accept bare minimum standards for your life, and certainly your career when you spend the vast majority of your adult life inside of your career.
Yeah. So when it comes to I love that you're wearing your scrubs that have the titles on them because I'm always like
Yes.
get a little bit of dyslexia when it comes to the acronyms.
Yeah.
LCSW/therapist.
Mhm,
I guess, like, how did you figure out what coaching even was? And then how did you decide, like, this makes a lot of sense for me?
mhm. Oh my goodness, how did I figure out what coaching was? I guess I figured out how coaching was through a couple different sources. I was already looking into how to make extra money as a therapist.
Okay.
So I was Googling things like, what else can
What are the
therapists do?
answers?
And I don't even know, like, what else can therapists do? Oh, so many things. I mean, anything service-based that you could possibly think of, like anything else that you're serving people, right? You're providing a service, but, so I was Googling that, and then I my realm of and they're not traditional life coaches to me, but, like, my realm of coaching influences at that time that I wasn't really tracking on was, like, Mel Robbins and what's his name? I can't even think, Tony whatever. I can't even think.
Tony Robbins.
Tony Robbins. Oh, yeah, same last names, yeah.
Wait, that's
So
so
I
weird. I never really realized that. Okay.
like, those were people that I had heard of or that were kinda orbiting around, right, at that time, and then one day I was sitting with a friend who's really business-minded, like a finance friend, and they were like and I got a text on my phone, a Facebook message from someone that I don't really have a big relationship with, like a random acquaintance, and they were, like, asking me all these life coachy questions, and I kind of crashed out in the moment, and I'm like, "The number of random questions people ask about how to do things and where to go and how did I do X, Y, and Z?" I said, "It's so much all of the time." And they said my friend said, "There's a whole field for that, and it's called life coaching." And it was like, "Oh, yeah." And then I just deep dove, and I
Yeah.
found y'all. So it was my curiosity. I was poking around. I also think I was positioned to the universe, to God, to be like, "What else do you have for me?" And then just that little interaction at the right place, right time, if you will, is what, gave me the aha moment. But then, you asked, like, how did I know this was something I could transition to? Or there's so many skills that we have as social workers or as therapists. Again, if you're an LPC, if you're a PhD, if you're a PsyD, if you're an LMFT, they will know all these things. There's so many things, y'all, that we naturally have that can make it so easy for you to do this career and have so much more freedom of choice and time and money. So, a couple of things that come to mind is number one, we are the literal best listeners. We are the best active listeners in the game. We are so good to we are so great at listening to what is beneath the surface, and this translates seamlessly into coaching conversations when you have someone who's coming to you for a specific problem that they've been beating their head against the wall with, and you're like, "Well, what's really happening here?" So we can do that at a really high level. I think also, We have this understanding of human behavior and also what we call person and environment that helps us see, again, a holistic view of someone and how they got to where they're at and how what they need to shift or how they need to kind of rearrange things or organize things in a way that will get them to where they want to go. So we don't just
Yeah.
look at we're strengths based. We don't just look at the problem. I guess depending on your discipline, I think psychology, they tend to look at symptomatology first. But like in general, a mental health therapist is going to look at the person's strengths first. What do you have going for you? That's very forward moving in the realm of coaching. What can we use that you already have within, right? Coaching is evoking the answers from someone within, and we're already doing that. And I think the the last two things would be we're so resourceful and we're so creative by nature. We know how to do a lot with very little. Teachers are very similar, as you know. And so, again, when you're getting into that, you're helping the client kind of problem solve and figure out creative solutions and helping them determine, a method for accountability. You can really get creative with it in a way that they've never been able to envision before that gets them from point A to point B. And naturally, we're advocates. Like, we are not going to let someone give up on the thing that they want because we believe in their highest well being. We believe in everything that's possible for them, which is why often we are also willing to get into, the most difficult parts of someone's life because we believe they can find their way out and through. And so I think all of those things, it's such a natural transition. Like it was a no-brainer for me once I started putting those pieces together.
So, why also, on the flip side of things, there's this group of mental health professionals that know they want to expand, know they feel restricted by the, red tape, as you called it. Um, know they want to just kind of like venture into other modalities. I've even seen some kind of going into like adding a little bit of Reiki or spiritual type of things into their coaching and all of that. But then there's also this other crowd who is so resistant to coaching as being almost, like, competitive to therapy,
Mhm,
and I know you know this group
mm,
too that's almost, like,
mhm,
wants to discredit coaching because, coaches did not get as much training as a therapist and, these arguments, like, what is your response to the mental health workers that are hyper resistant to coaches?
mm. Well, you've never been coached. So how can you make an assumption or an assertion about something that you've not received in and of yourself? And
Mm,
also, it is okay to be so proud of the work, the energy, the effort, the years, the money that you have to put in to earn these little letters by my name. And it is not the only modality that can help someone change their lives.
yeah,
And coaching complements therapy. And I would encourage you to really expand your thinking about what helps someone to heal. Healing isn't just about processing and revisiting and making peace with and making sense of. It's also doing all of that and then making a decision, making a choice to move forward into the future in a way that honors all of that lived experience, but also says, I am not that same person. And that's where coaching comes into play. And
mm,
so, me, again, as this like hybrid, I have therapists in my network who refer clients at the end of therapy to me for coaching for help with taking those big steps. Because when you heal, like when you're actually healed on an emotional and a psychological level from mental health challenges, it is like seeing the world through a new pair of glasses. Literally, the world comes back into color and you're like able to dream and imagine in ways that you couldn't before when you were so bogged down by those symptoms. And
right.
so coaches, it's like we get to help people navigate this new world. And so I would say like bring ethically trained credentialed coaches into your practice. Even if you don't want to do it yourself, bring them into your practice, connect with them, find them in your community and use them as the next step or resource for your clients. That would be doing them the highest possible service.
Yeah.
Both are so valuable, and I think if people are, ambivalent, it's because of it's probably from this place of pride or confusion about how coaches become coaches in the first place, which there's so many pods that you've done on that, really trying to explain to people what makes a trained credentialed coach like what we go through in IGC so vastly different from these influencer style coaches that we find online.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and I'm completely at the I used to kind of be like, "It's okay if you're not certified." I'm completely anti non-certified or credentialed coaches at this point. I just have nothing positive to say. I don't recommend that you hire them. I don't recommend that you start, um trying to change someone's life without any idea how to do that. Obviously, if you come from a background of like therapy or even education or healthcare in some capacity, it's a little bit different. But I just don't see how you can even be taken that seriously at this point unless you have some type of certification and credential. And I got into a little bit of a really low level argument in a TikTok comment the other day, Sam, with a guy who was like, coaches are ruining people's lives, especially therapists. And I was like, well, I'm sure that some coaches have, ruined people's lives. I mean, I think humans in general tend to ruin other people's lives, whether they mean to or not sometimes. But I believe that when you pay, 5, 10, $20,000 to get professionally credentialed as a coach and you do, minimum of 60, usually upwards of 125 hours of training plus practicum plus evaluations plus take a test plus pay another $1,000 to get the international credential, you are not trying to ruin someone's who puts that much money, time, and effort in to be like, "Oh, let me just steal your money on the internet."
no,
No.
literally. I mean, yes. And I'm in a lot of different mental health, Facebook groups that you have to be licensed to get into. Like they're not just for everyone.
Mhm.
And it's so interesting whenever a therapist who is a little bit more nuanced, right, and forward thinking asks for a recommendation for a coach. It's primarily I see career coaches and health coaches that are being sought after in the therapy
Mhm.
world. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, and I come in and say, well, I'm both, and da 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 da. And every time it never fails, there's always someone that's like, throwing shade or whatever the case is. But I will say it again, you can't endorse what you don't know.
Yeah.
So instead of like any other problem we would face with a client or in our professional career, seek consultation, get some other opinions, do some
Yeah.
research, go have coffee with someone who's a credentialed coach, virtually or
Yeah.
otherwise, and really seek to understand before you cast such a broad net of judgment when the reality is that hundreds of thousands of people's lives are changing every day because they have invested in a very incredible life coach, and many
Yeah.
of which, like, from our community. So,
Yeah. Well, and there's bad apples in any industry, in any business, like from
there's
contractor
horrible
to
therapists that people never return to the helping profession because they were so reharmed by
right.
a therapist.
Yeah.
So, yes,
When you in general, typically when you commit a lot of time, money, and energy into something, which is a lot of also what you're saying about like kind of clinging on to your letters on your name, like
mhm,
you do take a lot of pride in that and you don't want to ruin your reputation. And I genuinely believe there are a lot of forces in our society and in our world that are designed to ruin our lives. Social media, a lot of toxins, food, porn. I mean, I could go on, but genuinely, in over 10 years of working in the coaching industry, I don't know one coach personally that has ever not had pure intentions in working with clients. Have they made mistakes? Yes. Have I made mistakes? Yes. But have I ever been like, trying to hurt and I know it's not always about intention, it's about impact, but that's anything else. Like that's a whole nother thing. We're not going we're not going there today. But I don't know anyone who has sought professional credentialing and a professional development community of coaches who are trying to hurt other people.
it's just like therapy, and if they are, they're dropping off, y'all. Like,
Yeah.
they're leaving the program. In my first semester of grad school, 3 people in my cohort dropped. They realized this is not for them. This is gonna be a
Yeah.
lot more than they thought it was, and every once in a while in our space, we get those people too, but there's
Wow.
some of that there's a reason that it is a process. It is a commitment, and it's a much easier process to become a professionally credentialed coach and more affordable than therapy. Because I think I
Yeah.
get that's my biggest conversation that I'm having besides, like, explaining what coaching is and why it's, whatever. It's also, well, I'm interested, so, like, which direction do I go, for someone who hasn't committed to graduate school yet? And so,
Yeah. What's
yes,
been
both.
the most surprising part
Mhm.
about coaching versus therapy?
Mm.
Like, in terms of you facilitating the service?
I love doing therapy, especially when I'm really in my zone of genius. And before coaching, I would see the moment in a session with a therapy client where they would change their life, and it literally felt like this cute little spark would happen. And I would feel it and I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, wow, I just, like, saw this person's whole, like, mind has shifted."
Yeah.
And then I would take that in and I'd go to my office and be like, "Okay, that was really cool. And okay, here we go, on to the next thing." But in coaching, like, I just have insane amounts of fun with my clients in a way that I I wasn't having with my therapy clients, and not just because of the content of the sessions. Obviously, talking about, like, grief, trauma, loss all day, every day is heavy. But again, I'd see those little sparks and I'd be like, "Ooh." And we're there to talk about this other stuff. So I feel like just in coaching, I too have, like, come alive into a part of my personality that I didn't professionally, like, I didn't know existed. And I've
Yeah.
gotten to, like, kind of redefine what being a professional is. I mean, look at me right now with my tinsel in my hair and whatever the case is. Like, I just have so much freaking fun as a coach, and I literally love getting up and doing what I do every day. Yeah, the hardest part is, yeah, some of the, like, business stuff that you gotta do, but that's any job. I don't know, I just
It's
never
any
had fun
job.
in the
There's
w like,
always,
look
like,
at
the
me.
admin.
Look at me getting antsy because 'cause I'm just like, I literally have so much fun with my
That is
clients.
so I interviewed Sandy Patterson recently, who went from teacher to coach.
Mm,
We'll link
mhm.
that episode in the notes in case anyone is also new here and wants to hear that story. But it's very similar response. She's like, "I love it because I, like, wanna go get margaritas with my clients." She's like, "It's the only job where I'm, like, getting paid to do what I love and I can be myself fully." And I feel like leaving teaching for me too, there was so much restriction. I loved teaching and, like, being theatrical and bringing in art and music and fun, but we weren't allowed to do that. Like, and I it was such a disservice. That's a whole nother story, but I'm like, I feel like all I do in IGC at this point is, like, teach, mentor, coach here and there, run this beautiful podcast. But I'm like, I am able to teach in such a different way.
Mhm,
And it's way more fun. Like, I think the key to life is so cliche, but it's like a job where you're not counting down till the weekend, like a life you don't need a vacation from.
mhm.
Like, I meet all of these people who are very miserable. And even like in the dating world, this is a journey I'm going to take you on real quick, but they're like, I talk to these guys and they're like, "Oh, just can't wait till Friday." And I'm like, I just don't resonate with that. I mean, of course I love a weekend. I love Sunday football. I love lounging around, but I do not feel that way. I fucking love a Monday. Like, it's weird.
No, the most what's the most surprising thing? Sunday scaries only exist when you hate your job or you're not being supported at your job. Like, they only exist if you're not being supported or you hate your job or you're not being fairly compensated for the amount of work that you are
Mm.
putting into the job. They
Bing,
otherwise
bing,
don't
bing.
exist.
Yeah. No, that is very valid too, and I think and I hope one takeaway that people get from listening to this too is that their shame around desiring more in your life is completely unworthy of you. It's beneath you.
Mm,
There's no space for it, there's no need for it, it serves no one, it doesn't make you more noble, it doesn't make you more honorable, it doesn't make you more likable or palatable. It literally makes you a victim of your own circumstances, and not to say that it's not more difficult for some people to, climb out of the trenches. We've been there, we've seen it, and we've seen people do it. However, feeling this shame or guilt about leaving something that your 18-year-old self decided she wanted to go to college to be XYZ, and maybe she changed her mind 10, 15, 20 years later. That's okay.
That's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Thank God we don't have everything we wanted when we were 18. Let me tell you where I'd be, folks. Let me
Oh,
tell you.
man.
I'd be in a
Yeah.
very weird place in Ibiza, okay? I would not be here. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Before we wrap up, tell us what are some of your, biggest wins as a coach? What makes you most grateful? And this is not about IGC. It's literally just about
Yeah, yeah,
choosing
yeah,
this
yeah,
business
yeah.
model. Like, what has been the biggest game changer for you, life changer for you, most exciting thing?
Well, my brain always goes in 2 places when there's ever a version of that question. One is for me personally, and then the other is for my clients. I think, for me personally, it has been the freedom of choice and just I can't really get into this because it'll get weird, I'll get teary, but it's just the freedom of choice and how powerful just how powerful and impactful it has been in the last 5 years of what a weird timeline we're all living on right now, just to be able to make decisions every single day that are best for me and my family.
Yeah.
And knowing that nobody can tell me otherwise, nobody can tell me no to that decision. So that's been a big yeah, just the
Yeah.
ripple effect of that. And
Just
then,
agency over your life.
yes, personal agency, and autonomy over my life. And then I think for my clients, I mean, I see all their faces like a little flip book, shoo, 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 shoo. And I think about the clients who were in statistically disempowering circumstances. I will say that. Like the odds were truly not in their favor from a stats point, from what we know about socioeconomic status and things like that, and how with the right support at the right time and a plan that actually works for someone that takes into mind their lived experience, but also their potential. I mean, my clients have done tried and true total 180s in their lives, um, where we started coaching around one area. And then it was like, once they got traction in that area, the bravery and the courage and the ferocity and determination for them to make all these subsequent changes that actually is changing the generational lineage for their families and their kids. That to me, I'm just like, I like literally don't know what is a better feeling than helping someone do that or knowing that you were a part of that story for them. So I just think of all their like people who started here and then now it's like they are light years ahead and like I mean, I want to say they could have gotten there for sure on their own. It would have taken a lot longer and a lot more struggle and strife and whatever, but yeah, I just think at the end of the day, when we can ourselves have that freedom of choice and given that agency, and then we can give that to others, like it, it's just unmatched. It's
Yeah. That
unmatched.
is one thing I
So
do appreciate about coaching is it's, like, not meant to be just you meet every week forever, like, there's an end game, and if you're
yeah,
doing great coaching, it's, like, typically, not much longer than 6 to 9 months, right, to see if not shorter, right? Like,
y-
I mean, my goal is always to have major transformation in the first 90 days, and obviously people come from different baselines, and that's always, moving, but I think the goal, and I've told every one of my clients this from the beginning, is like, I don't wanna work with you forever. And it's not
mhm,
because I don't love you, it's because I want you to get to a point where you can take these skills and take this, self-accountability that you learn and you develop through coaching and apply it to every area of your life. And you don't even know. Like, I think that's just also the magical thing about, I guess, any helping profession. I could even go back to teaching. It's like when you give someone the tools to change their life, we will never know the measured impact of that actually.
mhm.
Really
No,
fascinating.
it
Okay, so what's
is.
your best piece of advice for a mental health acronym listening to.
I know, I literally listed them all, dude. I was sitting
Yeah,
here
I'm just
trying to
like,
list
we
them
start
all.
with L.
What's my best piece of advice? I think if you have this pull towards coaching, just like trust it's not by accident. And I think that every client you've served, every hard conversation that you've had, every system you've had to work inside has really prepared you for this. You are overly prepared. And I think coaching is just a chance for you to take all of what you already know in this skill set and expand on it and use it in a way that is future focused and deeply transformative, not just for your clients, but also you too. And I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole, but like you are allowed to get something out of this process.
Yeah.
It's not selfish to take something away from the work that you do. It's not selfish. So,
Dude,
that
there's
would be
so
my
many
advice.
places we can go with that too, because as you're saying that, I'm
We're
like,
told literally in school that it's selfish to have anything eye-centric in a therapy session. And
oh,
again, there's such nuances to that, but there's certainly we all know a room to disclose and this, that, and the other thing, but you are allowed to get something. You are allowed to be like, "Damn, I did a good job today." Like, wow, like, "Damn, I'm excited to get paid because I just changed this person's life." You are allowed to have those kind of thoughts and, like, beam with pride over it, and so, yeah, I just think if you're here, you're listening, it's just not by accident,
yeah,
and there's so many ways that you can still utilize your degree and your letters, if you will,
yeah,
creatively. You don't have to, like, just do a full drop of it. You don't ha I will always be a social worker, always, always at my core,
yeah.
but I also get to be all these other things too.
Well, I was gonna say, and like coaching really, and I say this all the time, people are like, okay, Olivia, but I'm like, coaching is the fastest and easiest way for women to get into entrepreneurship. And when I say entrepreneurship, I do not only mean having your coaching business. I mean being able to diversify your income and really be an entrepreneur, which by definition means starting and operating multiple businesses. And I know you have like your next level scrubs on because you are part of a med spa, you are opening a nail salon, you are opening a mental health like you're able to expand from your coaching skills as a service provider, but I also think just being in the world of coaching opens your own eyes to so much possibility that it's like why stop here?
Totally, yeah, I mean, I'm getting coached all the time because I hang out with coaches, and I'm in
Yeah.
a space that's always asking, "What else do you want?
Yeah.
What else are you thinking about? What's"
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm always brewing something, but never in a million years would I be doing those other never in a million years would I be an entrepreneur had I not become a coach.
Yeah. Agree, same.
Yeah,
100% same. I think coaching and then becoming like receiving coaching after years and years of therapy, which I'm grateful for, but you do get to a point where you're like, I'm not going to go through my mommy issues again. I can't do it for another hour. I dreaded going. And that's when I found coaching and I was like, okay, now let me alchemize all of this, right? Like, let me
yes,
do something with it. And like you said, you don't have to lose the letters to embrace coaching as a service that you provide or embrace a coaching business as a next step that can broaden your horizons to more than you would ever expect. And so Sam is a business coach. She is a trauma informed certification practitioner. I took her course in that. The level of dynamic offers that you're just truly an example of the possibility when you decide to kind of step into a next level, which I feel like so corny saying because I know it's on your shirt. I don't know if people can see it. But I just want to thank you for being here and for opening people's eyes to what's possible. And for anyone who doesn't know Sam and some of her personal story, I don't hate me for saying this, but Sam is not some like magical woman necessarily who had all of the cards stacked in her favor, and you are not allowed to sit back and listen to this episode and think must be nice for her, but I couldn't do it. Like Sam has openly shared about her personal trials and struggles and grief and loss, and I am not just saying this, but literally if she can do this, I think any woman on the planet can, and I hate that you have to bear that level of resilience. I really do, but I thank you for sharing that story. Like, we're gonna leave all of Sam's socials so you can learn more about her and connect with her. But beyond just like you're a great entrepreneur, you are a strong, strong woman. And I think a woman that anyone from anywhere can get so much out of just being in your
Thank
presence
you.
and learning from you.
Thank you. I think the same about you. And I
Oh,
think when we just, yeah, strong women breed strong women. Like, you know what I
yeah.
mean? And I didn't have strong women in my life before I became a coach either in the way that I do
Mhm.
now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you. Thank you for being here. We're going to leave all of Sam's info in the show notes. Please follow her, get inspired by her, and leave her some crazy DMs that she can respond to.
Yes, I'm
I'm just,
happy to respond to them now. I have
yes,
time
now
to
she can
respond to them
respond to
now.
them because
Yes, yes,
she's
yes. Yeah.
certified. She's
Oh my
certified.
gosh.
I'm just kidding. Awesome.
Thanks,
Thank
love.
you all. We'll see you next time.